Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for the second episode of our Factorio space exploration adventure. We have left off shooting the first satellite into space and I'm now ready to do this with the second satellite, which is gonna catapult us into the next stage. So without any further ado, let's get this launched and start space exploration, the interplanetary phase. This is a big moment and we will still have lots to do, and now that we have launched 2 satellites, we should be able to open up the Universe Explorer and we can see what we have discovered so far. The more satellites we launch, the more we discover. Right now the most interesting thing is going to be Navi's orbit, so the main planetoid's orbit. There seems to be something very interesting here. At first sight it doesn't look like we could salvage a lot, but actually all of these containers contain very interesting materials, some of which we are not capable of making yet. So at some point we will have to launch a cargo rocket and salvage this platform. Another thing we can do is click the main planet and actually start to scan the surface. What this is going to do is just gradually in a circle reveal the terrain of the entire planet, I think. I'm not yet sure how large it is, but it is supposed to be a little bit smaller than vanilla. So now I can just keep this running and all of these chunks are going to be generated for me. So I think I'm going to leave this running for a little bit. I'm curious what we can reveal. Maybe there's going to be an interesting site to expand towards. I also built a bunch of these balloon lights, which are extremely handy, I have to say, especially when recording a video. Once we launch even more satellites, we can have a look at the star map. Here is our planet and on the top there's the star, and then we could even get into the interstellar map and there are quite a few stars with hopefully lots of planets and interesting resources. Oh nice, we can now actually make landfill out of all kinds of things, and I also got access to the explosive rocket. It might be time to build a rocket launcher. That could be a good idea. On the other side, I really would like to go for the tanks right now. And then another thing that could be important is the life support equipment if we ever want to survive on another planet. Now that we start to know a little bit more about our surroundings, we could think about where to set up the main base, the mega base that is going to produce, let's say, about 1000 science packs per minute. And I'm thinking I want to start this in a modular way, since I don't know how many materials I'm going to require. I'm basically going to need a huge flat surface that I'm going to expand upon. So let's say we start to smelt a little bit of iron right here, and I want to be able to build one module after another in a downwards fashion. So whenever we need more iron, I can just go ahead and add it, and I'm not going to be concerned about the space. And then we start with the second material somewhat to the right, and this way we can just keep going. Now if the planets are small enough, I would like to get this started on the very top. That would be amazing. So we're gonna leave this factory behind, just doing some research, and then we can start bringing materials over to the next base that is eventually gonna be our main base, the mega base. Once I research the tanks, I'm gonna go for stronger explosives right away. That could be handy. It looks like the first patches that I'm gonna hook up for each type of ore still needs to be dedicated to this part, but there should be some close deposits I can tap into. I gotta say, there are some really nice deposits out here, but I feel like this could be going on for quite a while. I don't think the edge is that close anymore. So I think what I'm gonna do is just get my factory started somewhere I know nothing is gonna be in the way for a while. For instance, we could start right here, mine up this iron ore patch to get started, but eventually bring the stuff along with trains, and then one block over we're gonna be doing the copper and so on and so forth. This way we also don't have to move too far away from the original base in case we need to do something there. For now, what I want to do is build a tank, but maybe also give it some ammunition. That would be great. Some explosive rockets, though I'm not sure. We might need cannon shells or something. I also just researched the tank, which should be easy to build because I can just grab some of these engines. I also need some advanced circuits. That should be good, and the tank is already buildable. Easy. Ah, here they are, the cannon shells. I think that's what I need to use for the tank, right? So we'll be making some explosive cannon shells with plastic, explosives and steel plates. And for now I'm just gonna feed this manually. Like, we have some explosives here and also the steel plates. And there it is, my first cannon shell as well as the tank. The tank is absolutely brilliant because for the first time we don't have to worry about driving into trees anymore. And then of course we can also use these cannon shells, which I'm just gonna stock in here. So if we just drive this around, we can even drive into rocks and it will not hurt us. Now of course it would be good not to drive into my own facilities. Anyway, it looks like this is just gonna keep going, so I'm gonna stop all the scans, and I'm gonna be happy with what we have revealed so far. I decided for my starting spot, which is gonna be right up here for the megabase, and as we start to develop the megabase, we also make our way into space for the first time. Now, just for the giggles, let's check out the cannon shell. How explosive is it? Well, it could be much better, but I guess it will do to get us started. Well then, I would say we can continue just researching away. In the meantime, I'm gonna make my way up north to the new starting location. I'm probably gonna require just a tiny amount of landfill, so I'm gonna be crafting that myself as we make our way up. Thanks to the jetpack, this is actually no issue at all. I love this thing. I want to get myself situated right here, not because of the iron ore, that is just a coincidence, but we'll be expanding the factory towards this side. So maybe to avoid the copper ore, we're going to be starting down here. That should be better. I want to build my first proper smelting array using the electronic furnaces so that we can also add a couple of modules. Now, it's not realistic to aim for the highest tier modules. We're not going to have them for a very long time. So I'm going to be doing my calculations just with the level 2 module that will be able to craft soon, and it should be reachable within a reasonable amount of time. So if I just put this into the calculator here for the iron plates, I would like to see 1 belt of iron plates, and we're going to be going for a blue transport belt for this design. And then we switch our recipe to electronic furnaces, and we're going to say that we have 2 productivity tier 2 modules, and we're also going to have 1 beacon. In space exploration, you can only have machines affected by 1 single beacon. However, you can put way more modules in there. So for the basic beacon, we can put 8 modules in there, and it's also going to be a level 2 speed module. This way we end up with about 34 furnaces, and just to be on the safe side and to make sure we always have a compressed belt, I'm gonna add 2 more furnaces. But basically it's gonna be about 16 furnaces in 1 row, and my robots are actually also taking care of the cliffs as long as I have everything in my inventory. And I can even use them in order to get rid of the trees, which is convenient, so I can still keep the wood. We don't have access to the blue belts just yet. I'm gonna be building everything with yellow belts and then upgrade as we go. But basically this is going to be the center of the 2 lines of furnaces. We have another line right here, and then as mentioned, I'm probably going to add 2 more furnaces so we can always ensure a proper belt compression. I'm not yet 100% sure with this design. We might actually get away with the yellow inserter, so I'm gonna test that out. But we're basically gonna bring in the ore from the outside and combine the produce of the 2 furnace rows together on 1 belt. Each of these furnaces will have 2 productivity modules, and additionally we need to add a beacon every now and then. Since I don't have the beacons yet, I'm not going to implement that. So now this is going to be the ore line right there, and what we can do is tile this. So for instance, I just put it right there again in order to add a secondary line. And I'm actually going to do this 2 more times, like so. So we have 4 complete lines of smelted ore. My robots are taking care of that as good as they can. We might still have to do something with the power poles. Now let me think. Yeah, probably with the medium electric pole. Yeah, I think this might be better. Has a little bit of a longer reach. And then spacing them out like this might just work. Yeah, this is actually looking pretty good. We're done with the research. Let's keep going. Storage, warehouse. There might be more pressing things. Let's also go for the speed modules and the productivity modules so we know what they actually require. Advanced electronic circuits are certainly going to be important at some point, and worker robot speed. No, that's not the one I need. Yeah, we can't even go for that. That is going to require the new science pack. So the storage warehouse it is. And I'm actually quickly gonna cut this so I can properly get rid of nature, and then all I have to do is paste it in again. I just love this aspect about Factorio. Inside the base we actually have a whole bunch of electronic furnaces already ready, and I should also have a good amount of belts here. Yeah, this chest here contains at least 500 belts. I'm gonna need to grab some inserters, and we need to check what we require to build the medium electric pole. To get access to the medium electric power poles, and so that I don't have to craft them myself, I think we're gonna go for a sneaky solution here with some iron sticks and also copper cables. We can build the iron electric pole just like that, and then right here we should be able to build the other type. So this will go in here, there, and then be brought over here. And now give me belts and also inserters, thank you. Copper needs to go over here. Right there we need a long-handed inserter, and the rest can be a normal inserter. Right here I'm gonna build the medium electric pole, and so all we need is a bunch of copper cables that we can bring from the other machine, just like that. And we are still missing the steel, and I think we're gonna go even sneakier with that one. If we just get rid of this, add a splitter like so, then we should be able to just underground belt this with a fast underground belt. And then I'm going to be using one of my smelters in order to smelt up the steel right there, and we can bring it into the machine with a long-handed inserter. And all we have to do is then export it into a storage chest, maybe limit this a little bit. Let's go with 4 stacks, and we're already getting the medium electric pulse. I like that. Quick and easy solution. I would like to add another something here, namely the underground belts. I want to make them automatically as of this point. Should have done that a while ago, but here we are splitting the iron. Just need to get this up here, and then we can already craft them. Some splitters might also be nice to have and should be fairly easy. We can just use the cylinder engines from this machine right there, and then we can also use the belts that are required. So all we're missing are the iron plates, and since it's easy, I'm just gonna do something like that. Now we have access to both of these ingredients, which is absolutely phenomenal. I'm gonna do 2 stacks of splitters and then maybe 4 stacks of underground belts. I think I'm gonna give this furnace some speed modules here so we can do this a little bit quicker, but we already got 12 poles, that's fine. I got some splitters and underground belts. Let's get back to building. Well then, I finished the build and I kind of realized that we won't be able to support this in terms of power just yet, so we're not going to enable quite all of the lines. I also figured in this mod you can just take some stone and place it in order to get some nice flooring. However, now that we have the smelting array, it's time to put these materials into storage bins and later on ship them with trains. I decided, since I don't know too much about the space exploration mod, it is best to work in a modular fashion. Instead of using a massive bus system, we're gonna have a massive train system. Looking at this for a little while, and so that the math checks out, I decided I'm gonna reverse all of the inserters so that my input lines are right here. This means I'm gonna end up with my iron on these belts, and I think what I'm gonna do is just combine the 2 belts right here. All of the other belts are also gonna tag along, like this one right here and the last one right there. At this point, I would like to set up a balancer. I already built this right here. This is just the standard balancer to balance 4 lines into 4 lines, so all the materials get distributed. After that, all we have to do is distribute it into 4 of these warehouses that have the same length as a train wagon. I'm also gonna need a whole bunch of stack inserters to actually load this efficiently, and then of course my train would be going right here. Now we need to be slightly careful with this because the rails can only be placed in a certain way, so you can see this is now moving 2 tiles instead of just 1 with this blueprint. So if I rotate this guy around like so, we get a little bit more space, and then all we have to do is load it up with about 4 inserters so we can distribute it evenly. 4 inserters should be enough to take care of an entire blue belt. All I need is a splitter for each of these, and then bring the belts along here and there. Just get them to the respective inserters. We could also go with 6 stack inserters here, but it's simply not necessary. So I'm gonna bring this approximately to here and then just line up the belts. We can take care of everything with just the normal power poles. As for the train, we also need a stop, but I think we should now take care of automatically building the rails and maybe even stack inserters. I made a tiny little addition for crafting the rails here automatically in the background. This is just gonna do its thing. It's not very pretty, but I'm soon ready to tear this entire starter base down once we scale things up a little bit. Right now I just need access to all the materials, and I'm just gonna handcraft the rail signals for the time being. And I'm also crafting a couple of train stops. We don't quite need the trains yet because there is no destination, but we're definitely gonna get to that point. Good, I have arrived with a couple of rails, so we can already estimate where the train station is gonna be. If I put this here with 1 locomotive, we can have 4 additional wagons, so that's gonna be my train station. Therefore, we'll also have to move all of this shebang so it lines up, and I just see, of course, I need to space out the individual cargo bays. So this next part here needs to be spaced out a little bit. Then we're gonna cut out this part, space it out, and my robots should fix everything. Now, if I hover over the train station, I can see they are perfectly lined up with my warehouses and the stack inserters. Apart from that, I also would like to set up some signals. One is gonna go here. Now, let me quickly explain the rail and the chain signal. To keep it very simple, you want to put a chain signal before every intersection and a rail signal after every intersection. But you should only put a rail signal if there is the space for an entire train. So let's say my train stops right here. That means I could set up a rail signal at this point, which is gonna cause the next train to stop right there and actually leave enough space for the first one. I'm also gonna make my way down here, and the main traffic is actually gonna be at the bottom here with the trains. But for that, we first have to introduce the materials. To get the materials inside, we're actually gonna do something very similar. So we're gonna have our train station somewhere at the bottom here. Actually, robots, please don't do anything right now. I'm just planning out. What I would like to see is these inserters switched around, so they will pull from the train into the storage. And then the same thing with these inserters. They're gonna get the stuff out and fill up an entire belt. As for the belts, I'm always gonna combine two together, and then additionally these two belts are gonna be once again combined with a splitter. So now I can just take this part and add it to each of the warehouses. I then most likely want to extract my resources like so, and then once again, if we switch through our blueprints from before, we should be getting the 4x4 balancer. Gonna add that right here, or maybe towards the top, or like so. Let me think. I need this rail to actually space out the same way as the other one. So I guess when it comes to the curve, we already nailed this down. However, this means my train station needs to be right here, and of course that doesn't line up with our station. So I would be grabbing all of this and put it to the correct place right there. Okay, nice. I guess the only thing that's left to do is actually bring this to the spot that I want it, which should be approximately here. Then all we have to do is connect the rails, and now I can enable my roboports to build it. Maybe we can do this a little bit more elegantly with medium-sized poles, so they're nicely spaced out. If we click the train station, we can give it a name, and we should totally do that. I'm just gonna give it an icon name. So at the loading station on the top, we're gonna be loading the iron plates, right? We also want to enable a train limit. Let's say a limit of 2, maybe 3 is also good. But if we do 3, we also have to make sure 3 can stay here. So that's the first one. Then here would be the second one. The third one would go somewhere here. This on the other side would just continue down. And I guess we want to meet up with this rail or something like that. Okay. Now I probably cannot fit 2 trains in here, but that would be important. I want at least 2 trains to be able to go to this station at the same time. So I guess one thing we could do is just have a rail going parallel, and I will be using that one in order to make sure I can have an additional train. So this train station right here, change the name into iron ore with a train limit of 2. And you can see I can have my 2 trains here. This would be the end of the line, and this would also be the place where I can make another intersection. Now to definitely have enough space, I'm not gonna cram it any denser. So these would be the 2 main traffic lines, with trains on the upper one going to the left and trains on the lower one going to the right. So all we have to make sure that the trains can come from either direction and actually join this line, but they should also be able to join the other line. So firstly, this should go in here, but secondly also in here. Just maybe to make the intersection a little bit easier, I'm gonna move it slightly so we don't have to do this, and this is now a combined intersection. We might be able to do the same thing here, make this even an easier intersection, and this way I could also move it down slightly. Very well, we now have a nice intersection going on here, train traffic going north, and then the train traffic coming down here. We will need another intersection in order to join up with the rails. So if we come down, we either want to go into this direction or we want to go into this direction, like so. Now let's do the signaling. I'm gonna do the chain signaling first and do 1 row. So if we come to an intersection, I want a chain signal just before the intersection and then before the next intersection, and there is the end of the intersection. So nothing else to do here. If I come from this side, however, I have an intersection right there and then nothing anymore. And if I come from the top, I have an intersection here. I have one there just in front of it. I also have another one right here. However, I can only place it right there. Optimally, I would also place it here. Right now you can see everything that is yellow doesn't allow trains to intersect. So if I had the intersection spaced out a little bit, I could signal even more. Now I'm gonna switch to the rail signals, the normal ones. So after every intersection here, the intersection is over. If I come from this side, then here the intersection is over. And if I come from the top, it is over either there or there, which we already took care of. So this should now be a working intersection without any train accidents, hopefully. Gonna do the same thing right here. Chain, 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 then from this direction, chain, chain, and also chain. Then I need a rail signal here at the end, here at the end, and there and there. And that's all the signaling I need to do. Maybe right here I can have another signal because an entire train fits in here, but it really depends on what we build next. And of course next will be a copper smelter, the same size. Also, before I forget, let's set up a radar. Maybe somewhere here would be nice. There's actually one more intersection I totally forgot about. So we need a chain signal here and there, and then a rail signal at the end. There's one long stretch where only one train can reside. I could set up a rail signal here in the center so we can have multiple trains, but I don't really think it's necessary because one train will already have left before the next train is ready to leave again. So once everything is in place, we can also just copy this over for the next build. So we can say, for instance, right here, I want my copper smelter, and then a little bit over, we're gonna have a steel smelter, and so on and so forth. Though I will have to take care of the biters very soon. To take care of the biters, I simply make my way over there together with my tank. Thankfully, we can have it in our pockets, and we can also add a bunch of grenades. And I should be able to target this. Oh, I need to get a little bit closer, like so. I think I'm gonna move my piercing round magazines over to the tank. This way, with the tap button, I can just switch and then use the machine gun for the biters themselves. So these guys here have also expanded. I'm just gonna shoot the hives very briefly, switch to the machine gun, and we should be able to take care of that. And then whenever I'm done, I'm just packing up and we can move on to the next target. Here we have a little bit of a bigger nest, which is totally fine. Let's take care of these guys. Just circling around, killing the nests. That is the most important part. Oh my gosh. Thankfully, the biters aren't the strongest right now. And also, I can rely on my robots just a little bit in order to take care of repairs. Okay, it is a little bit later. I also set up a makeshift train station for the iron ore here. This of course will be removed once we extracted all the materials. Furthermore, I took myself the liberty of setting up mostly everything for the copper smelter, so we have the two most important ingredients already set aside. This station here simply has the iron label with the addition of an L, so I know this is a loading station. And I should be doing that for all my loading stations. For instance, right here, I'm loading up the iron plates, I'm not delivering them. So now all we need is to set up a condition as to when this station here becomes active, and it should become active as soon as we lack a certain amount of ores inside the warehouses. One warehouse has a stack limit of 512, so I think what I'm gonna do is just limit it to 500 so we get even a nice number to calculate. 500 times 50 should be something along 25,000. Then if we go ahead and build a locomotive together with a bunch of wagons, let's do the 4. One wagon right here has a stack limit of 40. That means I want to activate the station as soon as we are lacking 4 times 40 stacks, which is about 8,000. So let's say around 15,000 iron ore we want to call a train. All I have to do to make this possible is hook up the train station to a power pole with a green or red wire, and then continue to my storages. Now I'm just gonna daisy chain this, and if we click the station now, we have an additional menu. We're just gonna set this to enable disable the station. We're gonna keep it simple in the beginning because it is simple, though later on we might have to get a little bit more sophisticated. But we want to enable the station as soon as we drop below the 15,000 mark. I already went ahead and set up a storage unit with a bunch of rocket fuel that is going to fuel the train, but eventually we want to automatically fuel our trains, especially once we have many of them. Right now this is going to be totally fine, just fueling this up like so. We're going to program the train now. This one should be starting at the loading station, and we want to wait until we have a full cargo. Afterwards we are listening for a unloading station that is actually open, and we want to unload the train until we have either an empty cargo or until there is inactivity of, let's say, 30 seconds, because that means we're already full. This is the simplest way we can set up the trains. Later on we'll have to do some shenanigans with conditions, but right now this train can go, and you can see it is directly going into the train station, the correct one. Now of course all of these stack inserters are still ghost objects. I will have to now set up something for that so I can craft them automatically. Before I do that though, I'm gonna set up yet another train, and if we do this right, that, we should be able to just copy what we have going on here. Maybe I'm even gonna change the color so it represents the silver color of the ore a little bit better. Then I'm gonna copy this with shift right click and paste it to the sky with shift left click. And it's now programmed the same way, so I always have a train at the ready. But now let's take care of my stack inserter problem. We actually need fast inserters and advanced circuits. The advanced circuits are definitely an issue because at my personal crafting system I haven't introduced any oil. Now I am overcrafting the electronic circuits here a little bit, so I figure I can pick some of them up in order to momentarily fix my problem. Also, we just researched the cargo rocket silo, so that is going to be the first step to actually get into space. I'm also going to research the rocket landing pad. Signal transmission between planets, definitely useful, and some more worker robot speed would be nice. And then I guess we might have to make use of the centrifuge as well. Afterwards, finally time for the power armor. Instead of setting something up for the oil and the stack inserters, I decided that I'm gonna build my personal crafting system next. We might be able to smack this right here in the center. I think I'm just gonna make use of a whole bunch of robots in order to accomplish this. As announced, I started a little something here that is just gonna provide materials for my personal crafting system. I put in place passive provider strong boxes. For the time being, we're just gonna go with one for each wagon. And I set the train limit here to just one iron plates, and I'm calling the trains at 25,000. I actually made a mistake with the strong boxes here. I forgot to calculate the 25k by 4 to account for my 4 warehouses. Therefore, I upped the constant number for the iron ore to 75,000. Because overall we can store 100,000 and one train is going to provide 8,000. Then one line further up, I got my copper station, the very same settings, just with copper. Now that I got this out of the way, I'm actually gonna limit the amount of stack inserters that I have on each machine. This is gonna make everything slower, but once we have more stack inserters, we're just gonna re-add them again. So now I should be able to get things going at least in some capacity. As I was waiting for some more research and materials to accumulate, I took myself the liberty of hooking up this copper ore deposit, and I built a simple train station. It's the same makeshift train station that I have going on here, and this train is actually already full. So all I have to do is connect this, and I think I might have to change something about the destination here. Yeah, this should have a train limit of 2, of course, and now you can see the train is going for it. It is actually quite quick and you shouldn't get run over, and as you can see it is now automatically unloading. Every time it can still unload, the inactivity counter is going to reset. However, if it cannot unload for 30 seconds, it's just going back to load again. Currently I have only one smelter line enabled because I don't think I could actually sustain the power demand, but this is still gonna be good enough to at least get things going and maybe develop my personal crafting system, so we will always have a bunch of materials for building at the ready. Right now the iron is just slowly gonna trickle in, but it's good enough for me. The next thing we're gonna need is a iron train. I already have 2 copper trains, so we're gonna be needing 2 iron plate trains and 2 copper plate trains. I'm already gonna program in one of the iron plate trains. We want to go to a load iron plate station until full cargo, and then unload at a iron plate station without DL until empty cargo or 30 seconds of inactivity. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're already struggling somewhat. I think we should take care of that immediately. Actually, I don't really need more power. I just need to make sure that all of my boilers get some fuel. Wonderful. And just like that, I can somewhat sustain it again, but it is definitely a problem still. I also unlocked a whole bunch of things, including the power armor. I'm really interested in that. However, for this one, we first need the processing units, which I think I'm gonna build in the personal crafting area first. Oh yeah, before I forget, we also unlocked a whole bunch of other planets, asteroid belts and such to go to. Some of them, for instance, this one here has a huge amount of crude oil, and then even some ore types that I don't know yet. This one here comes with some beryl, very interesting. There's also some vulcanite. I already saw some recipes that could make use of that. So we definitely already have a couple of destinations to go to. Good, now I also need to grab some rocket fuel. I can quite conveniently do this here, but I think for the foreseeable future, I would like to store it in a bin right there, so I can grab it whenever I please. Just gotta make sure I always have a spot where I store some rocket fuel for each type of train. The iron plate train is now being filled up. I'm gonna give it some initial rocket fuel. Then I guess we can just hit the play button. Let's do the same thing over here. Rocket fuel for you. And we actually want to copy over the settings here and then hit play. This gets in line. So the only train that's missing now is the copper plate train. Have a wagon here and there. Some cargo storage here and there. I just noticed that this station here should be called load copper. And now the train can collect from there, empty at the normal station. Fuel this guy up as well. Play and then do the same thing. Though I also want to give it a nice orangey color. Yeah, that should be good enough. Give you some fuel as well and you can go. Wonderful. Now I just have to fuel up my copper trains and we should be done. You get just a bit of fuel. You can then fuel up completely at the other station. Then yeah, just a bunch of inserters are missing. Wonderful. Okay, there's still a few things that I need to place, but at least everything is slowly coming together. And now all I'm waiting for is a copper and iron delivery to my personal crafting area in order to get things started there. The iron plate train is almost completely loaded, so it should theoretically move in just a second. Yes, look at that. And it is going, ooh, kind of in a weird direction. Yeah, I forgot to set up this connection. That of course is bad, a slight oversight on my part. But we should be able to fix it like so. Just add another little intersection there. Okay, much better. Now I already have iron at my station here. So all we need to do is grab a roboport, one I already crafted. It has quite a bit of a range, but we need to get all of the chests inside of the orange part. The green part is the building range and the orange part is the logistics range. So if we want to cover the entire thing, I would say we're going to start with our roboport over here. And then we would potentially need another one right here. Got it powered up. All I have to do is set up a bunch of logistics robots that I already built. And they're going to get docked inside the roboport. Now, as soon as I set up some requester chests, for instance, nearby assembling machines, my robots are going to bring them from the passive provider chests over there. And I can just start crafting. There is my copper train. So that is also working out and it is now being fueled up as well, which is great. I will still have to provide the fuel manually, but I can just grab it out of the chest, which is now much more convenient. I'm back here with another recording because I have really bad news. I just figured out in space exploration, the research for the requester chest actually has been pushed way back. So I don't even know what I'm gonna need, but I'm gonna need at least the space science pack and then maybe even the utility science pack. No, that's the production one. Yeah, utility would be all the way down here, and then at some point I get access to the requester chest, which is definitely required in order to set up what I wanted to do for my personal crafting system. In this case, we have to improvise, probably build a cargo rocket and make our way up to space. In order to accomplish that, I need access to the processing units right here, and they are actually mighty expensive, so I would prefer not to leech from an existing system. Now it looks like we're going to be needing a little bit of sulfuric acid, which we can take from the system because we are overproducing, but we don't even need the iron. We just need some stone and copper from the looks of it. Very soon I will have to hook up some more copper in order to be able to sustain this. Yeah, maybe I'm just gonna do it all the way over here. We can then still implement more copper, and I'm also gonna split a little bit of stone right here, bring this down. I will then try to grab some sulfuric acid from what we already have going on here, and I'm just gonna lead it all the way down to the new system. With that out of the way, let's maybe set up a recipe. I'm just gonna require some processing units. I'm not yet sure how many I want to go for, but this is just a side product for my personal use. Looks like 6 per minute is only gonna take 2 assemblers. I think we can up this to at least, let's say 10 or maybe even 13. Yeah, we get to 2.8 assembling machines. We already got the sulfuric acid, so all we need are the advanced circuits, which requires a little bit of plastic bars, and then we need normal electronic circuits as well. Finally, a whole bunch of copper cables. That's 5.7 machines. It might be better to split this up so I know how many machines I'm gonna need for the advanced circuits, and then we're gonna have a separate set of machines just for the normal circuits. To get my plastic, I also need a little bit of petroleum gas, which we also have overflowing here. So all I have to do for that is set up a chemical plant, and we're just gonna introduce the plastic here. There's the petroleum, and there is also the coal that we need. In my current personal crafting system, I made a storage bin just for the advanced assemblers. Looks like I'm gonna need 2 electric furnaces to keep up with the stone demand, and they're just gonna grab the items from here. That's fine. Actually, the entirety of the stone goes into a processing unit to make the stone tablets. Now I'm gonna need 4 assembling machines for electronic circuits versus 6 for each of the copper cables. Holy cow, that would require 14 electric furnaces for the copper. Oh geez, I did not expect that. If we do this, I'm gonna keep it simple. That's 6, 12, and we needed 14. So all that copper is just gonna tag along here. So now I have my copper and stone tablets. If I have 6 machines just creating the copper cables, then I could have one here, another one there, another one here and there for the electronic circuits. And then maybe I should craft a bunch of fast inserters to take care of this. We basically have a 3:2 ratio for this setup. Maybe a bunch of bigger power poles so we can take care of everything. The stone tablets are gonna tag along like so. We're gonna go ahead and put those into the machines as well, and then extract the circuits with a long-handed inserter. Now we have plastic and circuits. We just need 1 assembling machine to provide all the cables for the advanced circuits, and we need 4 advanced circuits machines. So let's say we're gonna set up the cable right here. This is gonna be the end of the line for the copper, just like that. And we get some copper cables here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be the advanced circuits. Now really what I need is the plastic on the other side. Let's maybe filter this out. If we filter out plastic on the other side right there, then I can cut this out right there and paste it in, which is gonna make the tablets go to the right belt here or the left one, depending from which side you're looking at it. Unfortunately, they're both on the same side, but maybe if we do something like this, we can have cables and the plastic input those materials, no problem, and output the advanced circuits. Let me maybe grab this and put it 2 blocks lower. This way, maybe I can even distribute the electronic circuit somewhat, bring this up to there and also bring it down. And we can of course grab those with long-handed inserters as well. Get my power poles back and we should be crafting away. Now all that's left to do is build the processing unit. I just need 3 assemblers for that, the sulfuric acid, electronic circuits and advanced circuits. I'm gonna bring my circuits along here, which should allow me to connect these 2 guys together. I'm gonna add my 3 processing units right here, bring the circuits all the way up so we can grab them with long-handed inserters, and there's also a liquid input here for the sulfuric acid. So maybe we're gonna get a little bit closer with the belt there, and instead I can have my sulfuric acid going in like so. Now just underground belt this all the way over and we should be able to grab the rest of the materials. Gonna get the processing units out of there and then I'm just gonna input them into a storage bin. And we don't really need that many. I think 2 stacks probably are good enough for my personal use. Honestly, I'm gonna go up to 4 stacks. Wonderful, we're finally making the processing units now. This is gonna go quick in the background, and what that basically means is we can build stuff like the cargo landing pad. Actually, that doesn't require it, but the cargo rocket silo. We need 200 processing units and also 200 big electric motors. The electric motors I'm already making here, but I'm not really storing them, so that is something we might want to address. Let's also store 4 stacks of that and give it some power. Okay. We also require concrete and steel, which I do have, pipes, steel chests, no problem. So everything else is already quite easy. Let's just add an assembler and already input the materials that I can for the cargo rocket silo. While I was crafting away, I made a little extension here that I'm just gonna feed manually for the time being. I'm gonna need 50 solar panels as well as 50 accumulators, though in the future I would like to build a massive amount of these. But what I'm basically aiming for is get access to the requester chest as quickly as possible, and therefore we need the next few sciences. I also prepared a machine to build the cargo landing pad. I think we're going to be needing 2 of those, one on this planet and then one we need to install in orbit. I also prepared a space capsule machine that I'm gonna need in order to get into space myself, which is also requiring a whole bunch of things. I feel like slowly but surely we're running dry on at least the copper. Since I checked last, we also used up 8,000 more iron ore. So maybe it wouldn't be the worst of ideas to actually use these trains in order to deliver some stuff here until we are actually ready to make the move to the next area. Right now, of course, all of that stuff is actually being smelted right here and it's being distributed into the different machines. But all I really need is the ore to also go to the various locations we already set up before I completely run out. Nice, I just got a whole bunch of rocket fuel here that I can feed into the machine. I think we're gonna need 100. Well, I guess I'm gonna be right back once I got some of this stuff crafted. I'm actually gonna focus on finishing the landing pad first, since I'm gonna need 2 of those. Wonderful, there it is. The first one is already being crafted. Whoa, okay, it's a little bit bigger than I anticipated, but I think what I'm gonna do is just plot it right next to our existing silo, and then further down the line I'm gonna have my cargo rocket. Because I'm leaching so much sulfuric acid for my processing unit production, actually everything got a little bit slower. I did increase the amount of power that I'm producing with more steam engines, but yeah, as long as we're leaching off the system, of course we're not going to be making too much progress. So I think at a certain point I wanted to stop so we can focus on researching again. But research is now not that important anymore because I'm not getting a direct benefit. What I need though is the next science pack. At least a little bit of it so we can properly get into the robotics stage. But until then, just give me a couple of minutes to finish this. Oh, hallelujah, we did it. We did it. The cargo rocket silo. I'm so happy. I hope I never have to build this thing again. And we're also almost done here, though I do need 100 low density structures. That's going to be an issue. Wonderful. My cargo rocket silo is ready. Let's place it right there. Oh, as a matter of fact, I want a little bit of space here. Yeah, that's much better. Another satellite rocket launch. By the way, we now have many planets that we can already explore. I think even more than before. And now I will probably have to study this a little bit. We can fill it up with cargo, of course. Then we can set a destination. In our case, we want to go to Navi's orbit. Destination position would probably be the landing pad if we had one, and the launch trigger we could go... interesting. So there are various options that allows us to automate this. What we now need is the space capsule that I'm building. We also need cargo rocket sections, 100 of them, liquid rocket fuel, and the cargo I guess is optional but probably very useful. There's actually the cargo rocket section. Oh no, this is horrible. I need a cargo pod, rocket fuel tank, heat shielding, and low density structures. Oh my gosh, this mod is absolutely insane. Well, I saw my resources dwindling rather quickly, so I decided it's time to set something up. You can see we already only have 30,000 copper ore. This is absolutely incredible, and 119,000 iron ore. So what I did, just as announced, I set up a rail that is going all the way down here. We have a very simple train station here in order to get some more iron ore, and then hopefully the same thing is gonna happen for the copper ore, though I might have to close the stations here so my trains don't actually go here anymore. Yeah, as you can see, of course, we're still feeding it into this system here as well, which is absolutely not necessary right now. We do need it in our old system right now. Oh, actually, it got divided into 2 veins. Okay, so we're not that much in a hurry because I still have 30,000 plus 48,000. That is good to know, so I can at least still build the inserters there. I guess we'll see in just a bit. In the meantime, we can hook this up. All we want to do is connect it with our existing lines so they dwindle a little bit less. Well, I gotta say, actually connecting these is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but we don't really need all the lines. We can connect some of them like so, and then maybe right here in this place we're also gonna set up a balancer. And just like that, we should have a nice and even distribution again, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the copper now. If I just copy all of this shebang over, I should be able to paste it a little further down the road. So let me just get rid of approximately this, and we're gonna paste it like so. Gonna improve the output of my copper vein spot here by placing the rest of the mining drills. I might have to eliminate the closest spiders around, but that shouldn't really be an issue. Some of the nests are becoming larger, but with the tank we should be able to more or less drive through and be fine. Okay, I gotta say this feels fairly good. We can now probably continue working on my project here. Already crafting the second cargo landing pad, so we only need the space capsule now. I should have the necessary solar panels. No, just 2 more, so I need some more steel. I got plenty of steel, just take it and build this stuff for me. And I guess now all we need are low density structures. They require plastic, glass, steel, and copper plates. Geez. Well, at least right now we're not using it up anymore for the processing units because I already have 2 stacks. Maybe I'm now gonna increase it to 4 stacks. Okay, I expanded my manual crafting setup just a little bit in order to get certain machines that I probably only need one off for the time being. For instance, I made this life support facility and I already went ahead and crafted the life support equipment. We are going to need this in another recipe, namely right here, the thruster suit. I already got everything else prepared, it's just the life support equipment that is missing. So let's put that right here and get it crafted. I also had to venture out a little bit in order to hook up another oil deposit. It's not a huge one and we'll be needing more very soon. There it is, the thruster suit. Now I wonder, something else that I did is I crafted myself the upgraded power armor. So it's not the modular armor anymore, but the power armor. And I also crafted a bunch more solar panels. Now the thruster suit does not actually go in here, so we might have to equip it. Show life support HUD. Interesting. Okay, so I can see the time remaining using life support canisters. We'll have to make some empty life support canisters probably. Secure canister. Oh my gosh, look at this recipe. I need steel, glass and plastic, a little bit of heat shielding and copper. There it is, my first canister. Let's see if we can just input that here together with some processing units. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What happened with my power? Something happened. I probably ran out of coal. Oh yeah, of course. Well, that is a huge problem. There's a small coal patch over here that is somewhat close, so I'm gonna be going for that. Okay, I think I managed to hook it up. I just need to connect the power still. All I need is to power the generators manually for a brief moment to get that coal running. There we go. Steam turbines are active. That should mean these guys are going for it and eventually I can use that coal. But it's just 290,000. It's not gonna last forever. I'm probably gonna tap into this deposit as well. And while I'm at it, I'm actually gonna do the uranium deposit. Beautiful. I started to hook up the other coal deposit. We're now good on power again. At least I believe so. Yeah, very good. That means we should get straight into uranium mining and get this prepared. This is a process that actually takes a while. I think I should be able to just plan this out and the pipes should be built accordingly. Yes, indeed. Outpost planner is absolutely amazing. The only thing it can't do are the oil spots. So it is gonna take sulfuric acid. I don't believe a lot of it. So now all I really need to do is grab the sulfuric acid and lead it up. And right here, we're gonna connect it to our existing pipes. Yeah, we can now barely keep up with the sulfuric acid. I might have to install another facility. However, now we are getting the desired output. I'm gonna bring everything on one belt and then we process it further. Looks like I'm gonna need a centrifuge next, which requires some processing unit, electric motors. Not too harsh of a recipe. I just have to collect the materials. And steel. Come on. Well, I guess I'm gonna get things started with just one centrifuge. What we want to do is just process the uranium. It's now taking 10 uranium per craft, yielding us some uranium 238, and occasionally we also get some 235. However, as soon as we have the first uranium, there's actually a way to multiply it with an easier recipe so we get the uranium 235 on a regular basis. Yeah, the enrichment process unfortunately also has been pushed way down the tech tree, so we're gonna be needing the space science and the production science. So right now, I guess all we want to do is store this in a huge facility. Like, I still have this warehouse that I could store it in, and we're just gonna allow this to run in the background. Okay, well, in this case, we don't have to worry about it for a little while. We're gonna focus again on getting everything ready to survive in space. I've been at this for quite a while, and every time I research something else comes up. So I finally gave up and decided not to do this with logistics robots. We're just gonna do a minibus in order to set up a personal crafting system. It's just gonna be like a Factorio mall to get all the basic ingredients and items. So over the course of the next hour or so, I'm gonna be trying to come up with something nice that allows me to replace the starter base. This entire thing here in the beginning, I want to do this a little bit more on a grander and wider scale. One thing I have to make sure though is that we're also getting some stone. So what I'm going to be doing is tapping into this stone deposit here, maybe eliminating some of the biters nearby. I will set up a rudimentary train system in order to also get access to stone and have that delivered right here. Then the only thing that we will still require is a little bit of oil. Not 100% sure, but this deposit right here might actually be worth it. And if we eliminate all the biters on the island and maybe these ones, we should be on a good track. I might be able to take advantage of the stone that I already have going on, since we don't seem to be using a lot of it. Then I just want to copy over one of these loading stations. We could possibly have that here. Then I just gotta make sure I can do the curve and kind of make my way back. For the first time, I feel like I have enough stack inserters. I also set up this train station here, so all I gotta do is set up the new route, which is load the stone, and then we want to unload the stone. Good, now all I gotta do is make a balancer to get 8 lines instead of the 4. I will have to build it myself because I don't have the blue belts yet. And there we go, everything balanced. Let's bring these over and we can just go ahead, connect them. Once the train is full, it should go all the way up there in order to bring it to my base, and then I'm just gonna smelt whatever the heck I'm needing. But eventually we'll also need access to raw stone, and without the robots it's not gonna be quite as elegant, but it will definitely do, and it will ease our pain of never having enough materials. Now there's only one more station to do. I believe that is the coal. Everything else we're gonna ship in with pipes or belts. Now theoretically that means I'm also gonna need a coal train, which I'm gonna install right here, and then once I've thought through the process of crafting, I will come back to you and present you with the results. Okay, something I like to do is plan things out, then make a blueprint of it and load back the save game so I can take my sweet time to plan things out, even if it isn't perfect. But I came up with something I do like, and I can now just quickly rebuild this, though I will have to get rid of some stuff here. Yeah, at least the belts right here, and now I can place this bad boy right there. So what I have going on here is just collecting the regular materials, all the liquids, the plastic. I'm also smelting some stuff, and everything is more or less expandable. I made sure to leave enough space. Then I'm bringing the materials all the way to the top with the potential to be able to add more. And I'm basically making a mini bus in order to bring all the materials over into their respective crafting locations. And I'm just dragging the materials that I can potentially need in future recipes along, even if it is a little bit of a mess with the belts. But the materials we actually need are limited. Like, there are only a few select things that I really want to auto craft, like the furnaces for instance, and the electric mining drills, definitely the solar panels and accumulators. But I don't think I'm ever gonna automate stuff like the boiler and the steam engine. What we do need though is everything intermediate available to us, and this is where the storage bins here come in place. So the passive provider chests, at least we should be able to make use of them, and then together with the roboport right here, I can just dump a whole bunch of logistics robots in there, and once the system is hooked up and I'm collecting the materials, the robots are gonna automatically restock my inventory. So I can just say, for instance, I always want to keep a certain amount of iron plates in my inventory, so I'm gonna set iron plates to, let's say, 5 stacks. So 500 I want to keep, but not more. So if I ever have more, then I also want my robots to actually get rid of them. There you can see I have a passive provider chest for each of the materials that I'm collecting here, and I might have to switch this one up to be a filter inserter so we can collect both the bricks and the glass, and then I'm just limit this to 1 row for each of the materials. Then whenever I'm crafting something like the gears, I'm trying to bring them on both sides of the belts, and they're just joining the entirety of the line. But I will always have a little inserter here in order to also collect the materials in a provider chest. So all I will really have to do is get in range of this roboport, and then the logistics robots should be taking care of my inventory. I don't actually have to grab anything anymore. That at least would be the goal. And because I don't have access to the robots and I'm not 100% certain about the space exploration recipes, which are certainly a little bit more complicated, it's probably gonna be a little bit of a mess this small, but it's definitely also gonna work. Right now I finished the engines, the cylinder engines, then we have the electric motors and everything. Right now I'm crafting the circuits as well, and I made it in a way so that I can always expand the system and add more materials in case I need to. There should also be a connection to my batteries and solid rocket fuel. And finally there is my steel right there. Okay, just gotta make sure to power up the roboport here, and theoretically once I activate this, yeah, we can see my robots are becoming active. And they are now indeed filling up my inventory with 500 iron plates, which is amazing. And I'm thinking instead of passive provider chests, we could also take storage chests and then kind of make sure that the robots are bringing back the materials that I have too many of. But I think I'm gonna implement these things once we can deal with the requester chests and the robots properly. Also, my robots will be taking care of whatever I have in my trash slots at the moment, but let me just go through some of the products here. I think I only want to keep like 300 around, and then the same thing with the copper, and I'm just gonna go through all the materials that I would like to see in my inventory for easier crafting. Like 1 stack of each of the engines would be super useful. Also some flying robot frames, and definitely taking that. 2 stacks of green circuits, 2 stacks of red circuits, though I don't have that crafted just yet. Very nice, I like where this is going. Robots sorting out my inventory like the coal. I only would like to see 2 stacks of coal. This is gonna make my life so much easier. Now, let me just keep going here with the mall. I now also have access to the green circuits, but we still need the red and blue circuits. And then very soonish, I would like to go for the solar panels, the electric furnaces, and the electric mining drills. Okay, I got a little something going on here. I'm not particularly proud of it. It is also wasteful. However, I can now always come back to this place, and with my robots, they're just gonna refill my inventory and I don't have to take care of anything. We now have most of the basic ingredients that I would like to see, and now it's probably time to build rocket parts. The question is just, are we gonna build them here on the top, or are we just gonna add them here to the system? And it's probably wiser to do it to the system. We got the rocket silo here. All we need to do is build rocket parts. Now, how are we gonna do this? This is probably gonna be a little complicated, but we can take some low density structures, the control units, then we need to build the cargo pods, which are gonna require a whole bunch of materials, and the rocket fuel tanks, of course, and then finally even some heat shielding. So overall, the raw materials are just insane for the cargo rocket sections. And I think looking at the map, I'm just gonna build the rocket sections maybe in this place here. The crafting time for that is 30 seconds, and we should probably check whether or not we can input some productivity modules. There are my trusty robots bringing some glass, thank you very much. I probably need to build more of them. I currently only have 35 in the system. Actually, thinking about it, yeah, we can build another 43. We should totally do that. There we go. Yes, indeed, we can add productivity modules to our cargo rocket section, so we should definitely take advantage of that. Overall, we're gonna need 100 sections. How many rockets do we want to launch? Not that many. I'm probably gonna be happy with just 2 rocket sections per minute or so. So if we add that amount to our crafting window here, then we can see we need 8 low density structures per minute, and that overall looks very realistic. We can then even add the productivity modules to make this better. Now we're gonna need 2 assembling machines, but we're gonna need even fewer materials. Good, let me come up with something nice or chaotic, it doesn't matter. As long as we achieve the goal, I'm gonna be pretty happy. Okay, I started with the first and probably the easiest material here, the heat shielding, and I just calculated the materials that I'm gonna require for this contraption, and the only thing I'm leeching off the system is the petroleum at the moment. But this way we got some sulfur, we got the steel, and we also got the stone tablets. Now that is the first material out of the way, and we can take care of the second one. Let's for instance go for the low density structures. We can do this with only 2 machines, a little bit of plastic, glass, steel, and copper plates, and I'm just gonna set that up maybe here. Overall, we're not gonna be needing that much space. In the end, I'm gonna have 5 little sections to take care of each of the materials, and then the end products are gonna be led somewhere over. I'm also gonna leech off the circuits that I have going on here, so in case I need to craft some green, red, or blue circuits, I'm just gonna leech them right there. Here we go. The second material is in the joint. As you can see, it did not actually take that much, just 2 low density structure assembling machines, and now I got my first 2 output materials. I just need 3 more. Granted, they are probably the most complicated, but overall I think it's gonna be totally possible. We might have to watch the iron a little bit. For instance, it would be nice to get a more even distribution of the materials, and since my machines tend to take from the other side of the belt, we're just gonna help it out a little bit to distribute the materials better. Well then, it is a little bit later, and I think I accomplished what I wanted to do. It is a little bit of a mess. You've already seen this part. I think I've added the control units, and then right here I'm crafting everything necessary for the cargo pod as well as the rocket fuel tank. Both of them are then being extracted and they all go over here, all the way to where I'm actually crafting the cargo rocket sections. Now at the moment the cargo pods are still the bottleneck. I will have to take care of that issue, but the rocket parts are just continuing all the way along even further until we reach the silo right there where I'm accumulating them. Considering everything, we could potentially just put this into a storage bin, and then all we would have to do is actually insert the rocket modules like this. And we can see the cargo rocket sections are now filling up. Pretty nice. So all we then need is still a space capsule, and I think, I'm actually not sure if I can add it myself, but somewhere over here I have collected some ingredients that I want to take with me. The suit, some life support canisters, there's the space capsule, and of course the cargo landing pad is what we want to install in orbit. Now if I add the space capsule here, then it actually got loaded. The only thing we're now missing is the liquid rocket fuel and of course the entirety of the cargo. Not yet sure what I'm gonna take with me, but we should be able to take care of the liquid rocket fuel. If we just have a look at the fuel refinery, there is the recipe: 50 times liquid rocket fuel out of 1 solid rocket fuel. And how much do we need? 77,000 from the looks of it. So it's not exactly gonna be cheap, but it should be easy if I just split this up here. Let me see. I can extract some rocket fuel here. That should be fine. Just using a filter inserter. And then I'm just gonna bring this all the way to over where we need it. Probably there. Wait a second. Of course, we need the machine. Say that goes right there. We're producing the liquid rocket fuel. Just need to import the rocket fuel and then use the pipe to extract it. We have a total of 8 connections, 2 in each corner, so I'm gonna be using this one here, and then all this needs is a little bit of power. There we go. Crafting rocket fuel. This is great. We should be adding productivity modules here. And yeah, as you can see, we're now filling this up. Actually, not that quickly. Yeah, I should probably add the productivity modules as soon as possible. But there we go, guys. We are actually filling up the rockets. This is a huge accomplishment. I did not think it would take this long. So I think what I'm gonna do in between this and the next episode is think about what type of cargo I want to take with me. And then maybe additionally, I'm gonna add a couple of things to my automatic crafting system. Especially solar panels and accumulators would be useful at this point. But for now, I'm actually happy with the accomplishment. We might have to increase our output here with the solid rocket fuel, especially once we get back to research. But that is an issue for future Nathan to resolve. Okay, I think we are about to finish this. We already got 99 cargo rockets, and after that the rocket should be built. We just need to fuel it up still. Now the fueling up part I can probably speed up a little bit by adding the rocket fuel myself, but let's just wait for this last cargo rocket part. Right here it is, the star of the show. By the way, I started loading up the rocket and I only managed to fill up yet about 100 slots, and you can see I have no idea what I actually need to load up. So I figured instead of just reading everything up on the internet, I want to experience stuff myself. Maybe we're just gonna fly up there and fail a little bit, but there it is. Finally, the cargo rocket has been built after 30 hours. Holy cow. Well, time flies when you are having fun. Very nice. Now that means the only thing that's missing is the liquid rocket fuel, which we're taking care of right now. And then I think I'm gonna make a save game, fly up there, kind of check out what we are missing in order to succeed up there. And then in the next episode, we're gonna first load up the cargo rocket for real and then do the journey to actually establish something there. So just ignore what we currently have going on inside the cargo. The way I think it works is if you leave the cargo empty, you will lose about 50% of all the cargo rocket sections. And if you have the entirety of the cargo completely filled up, then you will be using 100%. So it's probably in our best interest to always have a certain amount of material stacked up in here, but from what I understood, we're also going to be losing a certain amount. Some other stuff that we'll have to experiment around with are this one here, the signal receiver. I got 2 of them. I also got a signal transmitter, so I'm guessing this is gonna make sure we can actually communicate signals between the various destinations. Therefore, we should also be able to then use a delivery cannon to deliver certain materials as required. And then finally, we also need a delivery cannon chest. So I'm guessing these 2 contraptions are just working together. If we have a set of those on a different different planet we can send back and forth materials depending on circuits and whatever necessary. I should probably also equip my thruster suit, and then I need some life support. No, I'm guessing I have to have that in my inventory. Okay, just made the save game. Looks like we achieved the goal and we can test it out. Let's see if this is how we would have died. Launch that rocket. Yeah, sure, let's do it. Oh my gosh, this is a glorious end to this episode. Let's enjoy this launch. Wonderful. And there we go, we are landing with our cargo all over the place. Now I'm in space and it looks like my life support has kicked in, and it also looks like I did not take enough stuff with me. Yeah, we only have 11 minutes with this life support. Now before I do anything else, let's enjoy the ride here, and I gotta be careful what I pick up here. We have some science packs, we have some, space manufactory. There are also materials I've never seen yet. Looks like we even have a decontamination facility that seems operational. In here we could produce the cosmic water, and then there is all of my debris. Can I can leave this, and if I don't have my jetpack, I'm absolutely screwed. Okay, but then we can pick up everything. So the first thing I notice is we definitely need more life support. I need to think a little bit bigger in that regard. Then we also need a way to extend the platform. Is there something I missed? I mean, we cannot just use landfill. Oh, nice. Yellow deep space. Oh, man. A new era is hopefully gonna start. Space science lab and recycling facility. Ah, that is good. So maybe inside the recycling facility we can do something. We can make landfill with scrap, but that's not really what I wanted to see. We can recycle scrap into ores. Ah, space platform scaffold. This is what I want, right? Yeah, look at that. This way we can expand the platform. And it doesn't stop. There's more stuff. Space science laboratory. Even more scaffolding, and also space platform plating. Can we also use that to expand? Oh, so nice. Okay. Looks like there's also a space capsule here that has been previously here, and this is my rocket that I came with. So could I just hop in here and actually make my way back home to Navi's? Items stored in the capsule's inventory will be safe, but I will be losing half of my inventory. That is intriguing. I just want to test it out. So once I'm done on this planet, I should be able to just use my capsule to make my way back. And I'm landing on, well, not really on my landing pad. And yes, indeed, I lost quite a bit of my inventory. Well, that was certainly an interesting experience. I will be learning a little bit more about the space adventure that awaits us in the next episode, in between the episodes. And until then, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time, and hopefully I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Bye bye.